Hello, everyone. I'm Katrina. This is Sow and Tare Live, and welcome. Um, I have a special guest today. We are going to welcome my mom. First, I'm going to go through some hellos. My mom, Mary, sorry, I know her by my mom. Um, she has some really good grocery tricks, grocery methods, and with the prices of groceries going up. I thought it was a really good idea to maybe invite her. I can tell you what I do, but she did a lot raising, well, both my parents, but she did the grocery shopping for me and my brother, and the whole family and all that. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna do quick hellos. Hello, PJ. Later, she says. Gidroses are here. Hey, Aaron and/or Christina. Jacob's here. Welcome, Jacob. Dawn's here. Welcome. Verna's here. Welcome. Verna is moderator, Little Wrench by her name. Check out her channel as well. Oh, and check out Gidros's channel also. All right. Everybody's doing good. Got some quail stuff going on. Everyone's working on a shrug. That's good. Hey, Joy's here. Hello, all from Western Oregon. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so we have everybody here. So I'm going to introduce my mom. Are you ready? Thumbs up if you're ready. Okay. So this is my mom, Mary. She's been on a couple live chats and a video, right?
I think only one live chat. That was
Okay.
when you were in
I think we
Gilroy.
did one at, I think we did one at your house.
Oh, up on the top of the hill, we did that one. So yes,
Yeah.
two.
Yeah. Very windy live chat. So, um, yeah, why don't you tell us, everybody's saying good to see you, hello. Why don't you tell us kind of what you do for budgeting? Because I know we did not grow up rich.
But you're rich now,
And
right?
yeah, right.
So just an interesting point. I can't see the chat. Is that
That's okay. I
okay?
can read them to you, or if you go on the right hand side, go up to the top. It should say comments. I don't know if it does on the guests or
Oh,
not.
it says hide chat, so I should unhide it.
There you go. There you go. And then scroll down. Eric's here. Welcome,
But there's
Eric.
there's
We'll read
still
your joke
nothing.
later.
It
Do you see
doesn't
him?
show any chat.
That's okay.
Okay.
I can interrupt when it happens.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks for inviting me. This is kind of fun and different. Glad that you all could make it. Um, so Katrina asked me to kind of share my system for grocery shopping, which is what I'm going to do today. So first of all, I shop at Fred Meyer, which is Kroger in other parts of the country, and it's also I think Metro Mart. And
But you
it's
didn't
a
always.
department. What's that?
But you didn't always.
But I'm going to talk about that today.
Okay.
And um, so it's a department store. It has a grocery store and a department store and a gas station. And for every dollar you spend, you earn 1 point. Every dollar you spend inside the store, you earn 1 point. And for every 10, let me see, for every every 100 points, you get 10 cents off a gallon when you fill your tank. So Fridays, they have 4 times the fuel points. So I always shop on Friday. I go to the gym and then I leave the gym and I go directly to Fred Meyer and I do my shopping and I get 4 times the fuel points. And in no time, I can get up to $1 off a gallon. That's for every gallon. So if you fill up and you've got 12-gallon tank, that's $12 off your thing. So that's the number one tip, I guess.
So pay attention to where you shop and what days you shop and if there's any special deals.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think Safeway they have like a $50 off coupon every, I don't know. I don't shop at Safeway. So I have the Fred Meyer app on my phone. And our paper no longer prints the grocery the Fred Meyer ad. So I have to go on my app and find the ad. And then I look and I see what's on sale. And that's how I plan my menu. So so it looks like, ooh, buy one, get one free, flank steaks. So I might want to prepare, might want to plan my menu, including some
So
flank steaks.
you're planning a weekly menu based off of the ads.
So what I do is I take a piece of paper and I just use an old piece of paper. I fold it in half. And on the one side, after I've looked at the ad, I write, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. And I write my, I see daddies on there too. And yes, we do give our fuel points to Katrina. Not always, but
Sometimes. I don't
I have
need
an
to fill them
electric
often.
car, so I don't actually need the points. And John doesn't drive much, so we end up, with extra points. So I've got my menu here, and then what I do is on the other side, I make my list. So when I go grocery shopping, I've got my list, but then I've also got my menu. If I'm shopping and go, I thought I was going to get such and such for this. I thought I needed such and such for this meal. We're having 7-layer enchiladas. Okay, well, I thought I needed avocados for that, and I didn't write it on my list. It's a good reminder to just pick up the avocados.
But then you may have not written on your list because you already have one at home too, right? So you go through and not only just what goes in that meal, but also what you already have.
Right. And actually, this is kind of a dummy list today because this week I ate out of the freezer. So what I do is so that's basically my shopping. Is I shop from the ad. I shop on Fridays to get the extra fuel points. Oh man. Yeah, and I only shop once a week. So for those of you that shop once a month, I sympathize with you. There are people that go to the store every day, and
My grandma
I
used to.
can't operate that way. I mean, I live 7 miles from town. That's nothing like the 60 miles this person just commented. But I don't want to go to town every day if I don't have to. So I shop once a week. I lost my train of thought. So anyway, what I do is when I prepare a meal, maybe it's a casserole that makes a whole lot, but there's only 2 of us at home. And I don't like to eat the same meal more than 2 times a week because that's just, dull. So I brought my visual aids here. I happen to have this very cool, it's like a silpat thing. It's like a muffin pan. And you can see the wells are pretty big. And so when I make a casserole, I fill up the wells of the extra that we're not going to eat. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I put it in the freezer. And then I just happen to have, and this was just by happenstance, I happen to have these little Pyrex things. And so the frozen things that come out of that muffin pan fit perfectly in here. And it's a single serving.
So do you put it in a Ziploc once it's frozen?
Yeah. Yeah. I put it in a Ziploc once it's frozen. And so I kind of have like a freezer bank. I keep this on the side of my freezer that's in the garage. And so you can see these are the things I have. So these are meals that I've already got. There's some chopped pork with gravy, and I put that in the freezer in December of 24. And then there's all these other things. Meatballs. I just made meatballs today. There's 4 packs of meatballs, and I did that in February of this year. So when I don't feel like cooking, or like this past week, I wanted to kind of clean out my freezer, I can see what I have, and then I erase it when I take it out. I also have baked and miscellaneous stuff over here. And then like if recently ground turkey was on sale, and I didn't need it, but it was really good price. So I bought it, and that went into the raw section so that I knew I would use it eventually. So
I think last time I was there, you had like tons of butter in there.
Oh, we still have lots of butter. Butter is really expensive, and so I buy it when it's on sale. And
Yeah.
I don't know how much it costs, but I hardly ever spend more than $2.99 for it. I wish I could do the same thing with eggs, but
You can.
so well, I would need to have some chickens, I suppose. So that's kind of my system. I'm real regular. I shop on Fridays. I get those extra fuel points, so I can give them to Katrina. Um, I use my freezer as kind of a backup because, like I say, I don't like to eat the same thing more than twice in a week. Sometimes like chicken breast will be on sale and in the value pack, and so I'll get those, and then I'll make a big batch of chicken parmesan. Now, Katrina,
Which,
we
by the
call it
way,
chicken with the
we are
cheese on
going to
top.
be, yeah, chicken and the cheese on top. We're going to make that for our next Cook With Me Live
It's
on
really good.
is it the 8th? So that's
I don't know,
Saturday.
but it's really tasty.
8th.
And
On the
so
8th.
if you know, you make a bunch of it, and then when you're hungry for it, you just pull out, however many you need. And if you've got company, you can pull out 6 of them. If it's just you and your husband, you can pull out 2, whatever.
If you guys want to make that dish, click on this link and join us. We're going to be doing next on the 8th. We're going to do that on the 8th. It's a Saturday. Thanks
And
for
I
that.
don't know
I didn't
about
even
you,
know it.
Katrina,
I didn't even know that.
but I always serve that chicken we call it chicken with the cheese on top. I always serve it with a side of spaghetti. Usually you'll have some kind of a starch like a bread or a potato or rice. I always do spaghetti with that because it's Italian.
Right. So Verna's saying she freeze dries her leftovers. Freeze dries leftovers doesn't taste like leftovers. And Jacob says the same way, won't eat a meal more than 3 times in a row. If there's leftovers, they get frozen. So it sounds
And
like we have some good, wise people here.
yeah. Now my son is interesting. He's married now, so things have changed. But when he was living on his own, he would buy some kind of food that he liked, and that's all he would eat for weeks. I mean, weeks. The same meal over and over and over. And if that's how you like to eat, that's fine. But I like variety. So, and the comments are showing up on the bottom of my screen, so that's good.
Oh, they are now? Not just the ones I put up on the screen?
Oh, maybe those were just the ones you put up. I just saw a few big ones. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why the chat, it says show chat, and I clicked it, and nothing happens.
Okay.
For me.
So, when you grew up, I'm guessing grandma went to the store every day because she did later in life. Did she not?
Later in life, she did. But when back in the day, mom was my grandma, Katrina's mom. Katrina's grandma, my mom, was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad handled all the finances. So he would give my mom a household allowance every month, and she had to make that last the whole month. We knew things were a little tight when we started eating pancakes for dinner, which happened pretty regularly at the end of the month. But no, grandma was quite the shopper. She would get the newspaper, and she would look through the ads, and she would see what was on sale at Safeway, and she would see what was on sale at Lucky, and she would see what was on sale at whatever the other store was, and she'd make her 3 different lists, and she'd get in the car and she'd drive to Safeway and get all the things from Safeway, and she'd go over to Lucky and get all the things from it. And it was kind of it was like a game, I guess,
That's what I used to do.
The best value. But and I think she did shop once a week. She did shop once a week. Maybe that's where I got that from. It's just, it takes so much, you could take 1 hour out of your week and go shopping once, or you could take 15 minutes out of a day for 5 days in the week. And it just is crazy.
Right.
Who are you waving to?
I'm waving to Andy Rabbit. I also waved earlier to Buster.
Oh, okay.
I forgot that you can't see it. Yeah, so what I remember about her is that she went every day, and that seemed, I think when you get older, maybe that's the event of the day.
I think
that's a different purpose.
Yeah. Plus, she ate all those frozen meals, and so she She was a really good cook.
But she
But
didn't like
as
to
she
do it.
got older, is only her by herself, and it's hard to cook for yourself. And so she would get like the Marie Callender meals and the I don't know all the different meals.
You know, she loved the Jimmy Dean sausage breakfast sandwiches.
Yes, I
Salt,
remember.
salt, salt.
Yep. Great
Um,
for her blood pressure.
you know, at the end of her life, that's what she liked. You know.
And when you live
Um,
into your 90s, you might as well enjoy your food, right?
yeah, that's what my take on it was at that point.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so then when we moved to Redmond, there was a pantry, and I don't know if we had that in the previous house, but um,
We did have a pantry. It was in the garage. It was just some shelves in the garage in Carlsbad.
the Jimmy Dean.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out what. And funny story, when Katrina was very little, we went to her other grandparents' house to visit and Papa.
Hi, Steve.
Um, and we went to a park, and there was this bridge that was over a river, and there was some like koi, some goldfish in there.
Mhm.
And she was looking down, and she's talking about the fish. She was so excited. I don't know. You must have been like 4 years old, maybe 5. I don't know. And we were talking about stuff, and we're always trying to teach our children things, right? Oh yeah, TV dinners, totally. Um, Greatest inventions. Um, and so we said, well, where do you think those fish come from? I'm thinking, give her a little expanded thinking power. And she says, a can. I said, what? She says, they come from a can, like in the pantry. We had tuna fish in the pantry in cans. And she thought
Where
that's
did
where
fish
all
come
fish came
from?
from.
He just says, if I live to my 90s, I'm eating whatever I want, whatever.
Might as well.
Yep, meal prep, get out of the door. Yep.
So, what kinds
Yep.
of things do you do for your breakfast meal prep? Because I find breakfast a little difficult sometimes.
Oh, you can. So we'll see what Jacob says, and see if anybody else wants to chime in. Go ahead. One time, someone gave me a bunch of like plain Greek yogurt and a bunch of cottage cheese and a bunch of like all these dairy things, and I actually made waffles with them
Hmm.
as the moisture part of it, and they turned out really really good. So, and waffles, they can go in the toaster and be fine. You know, they can be frozen and then put in the toaster. French toast warms up in the toaster.
And then you just eat it
As
in the car on the way to work or whatever.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you're not working remotely.
You can do breakfast burritos and heat that up. Those freeze. You can do. I mean,
So do you
and
wrap a
you can.
breakfast burrito in a paper towel then and microwave it, or how does that heat up?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it that way or in the oven and put it on low
Mhm.
if you're ready to eat that. So
So you
yeah.
put it in the oven while you go brush your teeth or something?
And Verna says breakfast muffins and freeze them. Easy to
Oh.
reheat. Jacob says breakfast burritos with different meats and veggies. I will switch it up and do breakfast sandwiches. Keep it interesting. Steve says making a large amount for several days, but third day you're over it. So you can switch things up. You can switch things up. Um,
Well, now, Steve, could you make like I don't know if you're making burritos or whatever, could you take the time to make the burritos, but make some with, I don't know, chicken and some with beans and some
yeah,
with cheese only and some with and different like spices or something so that
you'll be surprised every time.
you didn't, yeah, and then don't label them. That way you wouldn't be over it exactly, you
Yeah.
know?
So before you moved to a place with a big pantry, um, did you shop the same way? Because I know like you always, if something's on sale, you grab two, maybe three, you know, stuff like that. Did you always do that, or is that based on the space that you had available?
I have to think about that. Um, I'm always a bargain hunter. So if there's something on sale, I'm likely to pick up an extra one or two. Breakfast surprise. I like that. Um, Yeah, I mean, it depends on my financial condition at the time. If we were
Yeah.
pinching pennies really tight, maybe I couldn't get an extra one. But
Yeah.
if you had a little extra in your budget and chili was on sale, pick up um, 3 or 4. So it used to be uh, when I was pinching pennies, hamburger was always really cheap and a real
Not
easy,
anymore.
cheap meal. And I think that's where Hamburger Helper started out. It's like,
Right.
oh, you can mix it with this other stuff, and then you've got this completely different meal. 99 cents was like,
Mm.
and the same thing with eggs. I would have, you have peanut butter for lunch, or I shop at the deli and I get like ham or roast beef or whatever to put on sandwiches. But sometimes either I haven't been to the store for, it's the end of the week, or um, anyway, it used to be you boil up some eggs, you make some egg salad sandwich, and it was a really cheap, satisfying sandwich filling.
Who wants egg salad sandwich now? Who has chickens laying? I have one that's just starting to lay. Oh, sorry, or quail. I know most people on here have quail.
So,
Um,
how many quail eggs would it take to make a chicken salad, egg salad sandwich?
so it's I don't know about the sandwich, but the ones that I had, it was to make a large chicken egg. It was one chicken yolk equals 3 quail yolk, and one chicken white equals 4 quail whites.
So, you had to
So
do
it
it
was
in multiples of 12? I
well,
mean,
you I I just did 4. Like if
okay.
you have big eggs, you do 4. Small eggs, I mean, small eggs do 4. Big eggs do 3. Whatever. But yeah. Um, for instance, I have a monthly budget that I divided into how many weeks, so I know how much I'm allowed to spend each week. That is
Yeah.
good.
And do you
Hard
eat
boiled egg
pancakes the last
sandwiches.
week?
Sorry.
So, Verna, do you eat pancakes the last week? That's what we always would.
Steve loves egg
Yeah.
salad. Half of Jacob's childhood, the hamburger helper, shake and bake. I remember shake and bake. Do they
I
even?
don't think we used it very much, but
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
Dawn says
comfort food.
her quail never laid all the same size eggs. Yeah, they will. You stick with your budget. Good, Verna. Good. Um,
Well, you have to be strict with your budget. I mean, it's so easy
yeah,
to get off track.
yeah,
You can splurge if so. Verna's got a monthly budget. She knows how much she has to spend. She might buy some delicacy items earlier in the month and eat pancakes at the end of the month. But that's a choice you make, right? Or you can just eat regular stuff the whole time.
right.
I remember
Yeah.
when Shake and Bake first came out. That was
Do
a long
you?
time ago.
I just
I'm
remember
that
it, and then
old.
it just I don't know what happened. It went away, or we stopped getting it, or I went to college. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I didn't buy it much. It was, I don't know.
Yeah, so
I
let's talk about this really quick. Berta's saying if I have money to splurge, it may mean I order out. So, high food forest permaculture. Um, so that's something. That's something. So I know at one point I did not have much at all. Um, I was at a point
especially
in starting graduate school that I had $77 in my bank account. So you can change things. But that was probably the height of my uh,
poverty.
budgeting. um, and
Well, I remember
honestly,
you went to on the campus, and you would glean things from the fruit trees that were growing on campus. And I remember you
yep,
saying, I remember asking about that, and you said, "Well, I'm paying tuition. I'm,
yep,
it should be available to me."
yep. And actually, they haven't. I found a map. I got them. I asked the library if there was a map, and they had a map of someone had mapped the fruit trees on campus. And yeah, so on campus, I was able to. Well, I thought one tree was a lime, but it was just unripe orange. Works the same. I was like, this is a really hard line. Yeah, it would be. But yeah, gleaning, which if people don't know that term, it's just basically picking whatever you find. And that was also, yeah, so that was something in my graduate days that I definitely did. And campus had a really good apple tree. I don't think many people know about that one because it's kind of in other things. And they had pineapple guavas. That's when I learned about those fajoas. They had pomegranates. They had crab apples, which are nasty. And I picked way too many to not do something with. And I tried to do things. And I finally ended up making muffins out of them. Not all crab apples are good. Taste before you pick. They had, yeah, 2 orange trees, blackberries. All that was on campus. And then I also wild forage. So that's also the time when I experimented with acorn flour. So acorn flour is super, super good. I don't know that it's worth the effort.
Well, labor
If
intensive, right?
it was, yeah, so like this many acorns gets you 3/4 cup of flour, and you can make pancakes because you're still poor. The good pancakes, it's really good flour. It's nutty. But yeah, and then elderberries. I was learning about elderberries then, so found all the elderberry trees in the area. Um, now I was living with my grandma at the time, so she wasn't going to let me go hungry or anything. But you know, so yeah, my dad is saying that I think you also lived off of Top Ramen. That we had some Top Ramen stuff that was mostly in undergrad, mostly in undergrad. But yeah, learning to budget, learning to glean, and even if you're in town, if there's other people's trees there and you're seeing that their fruit is falling and it's not, doing much, go ahead and knock on the door and say, hey, or I see your fruit's falling. I'll pick some for you if I get some. I'll pick it and you get half, or can I pick it and then bring you a pie? Give them something if they say yes. um so yeah, so that was budgeting and all of that was very important then, for me. And yeah, and then
It's also
gleaning.
using your resources wisely. I mean, so much
Hmm.
food goes to waste, and if you can glean something that's just there, like you said, if you're maybe your neighbor, their fruit is falling off the tree, it'd
Hmm.
be great to just don't let it go to waste. You know.
Right, right. And you can plant, so I know, like, Iverna's gorilla planted some stuff. We're not going to say where, but you can grill a plant, you can wild harvest all that stuff. um yeah, so Andy's saying had a menu for a month, figured everything up, and bulk
Bought
meat
in
for
bulk.
each meal. Yeah, yeah,
Wow,
that's good.
$200 for the whole month?
That's
That's
good.
amazing.
Yeah. um oh,
Good job.
Howie has a tip: soak crab apples in water for a month, and they will usually taste it. See, we grew up with there's a crab apple at their place, and I love the crab apples that are not. They're not. I actually have a native crab apple here that's like that big. Um, and the crab apple at their place is a planted variety crab apple, which is more like that big and really good. I think it's tart. But the ones on San Jose State campus is like the decorative kind, and it was nasty.
So they don't taste
Yeah,
good? They just look pretty?
it was nasty. Yeah, it was nasty. Chew your food more and you'll get more nutrition. That's probably true. Probably too. Yeah, and Verna gleans some pears. Yep. For sure. So
So,
yeah.
Katrina, do you have a suggestion for people who do have lots of fruit? I'm actually thinking of your place. When we were there in September, you had those pear trees and those apple trees that were just dropping fruit like crazy. And you had just
I
moved
was
there. I don't think you knew too many people yet. But are there some suggestions as what you can do if you've got too much fruit?
Yeah, I mean, you can put it on whatever your local thing is, if next door, Craigslist, whatever. You can sell it. You can come get it for free. if you do that, I recommend you have a process so that people only take what you want them to take. I have heard of people offering, oh yeah, just take whatever you want, and they like strip the whole tree.
That
So be
happened to
very,
us. We went on a vacation, and one of Daddy's friends, um, you know, we said, "Oh well, the peach tree, everything's getting ripe right about now. It'll probably get ripe while we're gone." And then I'm trying to read and talk at the same time.
oh, that's good. You're
um,
good.
and so we said, "Oh, just go ahead and take what you want." Well, I thought they would leave us a little bit of peaches. They
Yeah,
stripped the tree. I mean, they climbed up. They got all the fruit they could reach with a ladder, and they climbed up on the roof and got all the stuff that was the branches that were like on the top of the house. There wasn't a
right.
single peach left. I was so sad because I love fresh peaches.
Yeah. So then the other thing you can do with them too is if you have animals, know what you can feed your animals, and that will actually cut your food budget some for them. So that's another thing you can do. Um, Another thing to do is grow your own food. And I've always wanted to grow my food, and I actually was growing some stuff when I during that time period at my grandma's. And actually, I bought fruit trees when I was still living at her house, and they lived in their pots until I got a house of my own. So I had those fruit trees before I had the house. Um, but you can start growing things, and one of the fastest things to grow that has a lot of nutrition is sprouts. So sprouts and microgreens. I haven't done microgreens yet. I know some people have here. I don't remember who. But I think people on here have. But that's good. Yeah, and Verna's saying something too is freezing your extra fruit. So there's a lot of fruit that you can freeze if you just take like if you core it and put it in the freezer, or like if you have tomatoes, you can put those whole in the freezer and deal with them later.
But don't
There's a
they
lot of
change
things.
their texture
If you're
somehow?
making sauce out of them, it doesn't matter. If you're making jam out of them, it doesn't matter. So yeah, there's some things that don't matter. And yeah, so if you know what it's going to be, then there you go. You can use that for a sauce, for pear butter, um, for applesauce, or like the things that you're gonna mush up, or
Right.
use later in something. You can make it into a bread.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Steve did sprouts, and Verna's saying too. What is the rest of it? Oh, not microgreens. Yeah. Um, okay, Dawn's saying took boxes of veggies down to the restaurant to give to their customers for free.
Oh
Last year
wow.
they tried to pay for cucumber tomatoes. That's good. Yeah, a lot of people get them for free. Yeah, so giving away or selling them, or giving it to your animals, or preserving. I mean, so one big thing that I do is, well, you guys know, I preserve a lot of things. And let's just take a peach tree, for instance. Um, I no longer have the ones that I'm going to talk about, but I got a peach tree for $6 at grocery outlet. Um, Discount grocery store. Sold a tree, $6. It gave so much fruit. So growing your own food is going to save you money. $6 is, you're probably not going to find one for $6 at this point. It might be 15, but let's just say $15. If you can, if right now is the time to budget that kind of thing into your budget, because they are bare root right now, which is going to be their cheapest time. It's probably towards the tail end of bare root season, maybe into March, but the return you're going to get on that is tremendous. And there's a lot of things you can in a stock pot. I used a stock pot for years and years, instead of water bath canner, because you just need water in a pot. That's all you need. So if you have a stock pot, you can as long as you have 1 inch of water over the top of the jars. There you go. Put a washcloth on the bottom, and that's all you need. So I do have a playlist about canning, intro to canning. If you guys are interested, check that out. But yeah, so part of what I do is I glean, I preserve. And then also, for some bulk items, I use Azure Standard. I don't know if they're throughout the United States yet. I know they have something in the Eastern somewhere, but yeah. So I don't use them for everything. They can get expensive. They're not always the cheapest, but
That's
for the
for
bulk
bulk
items,
foods,
what?
right?
Say that again.
That's for bulk
Yeah,
foods like
well, you don't
oatmeal
have to
or
do bulk. You don't have to do bulk. I mean, you can buy one thing of yogurt if you want, but if you're doing like beans or pasta or
so
make your
Katrina,
own pasta.
do they come in like a container that will stay in the pantry, or do you have to transfer it into some kind of a
So
container?
bulk. That's most in bulk. Most bulk things from Azure come in a paper sack, kind of like the old flour sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Not fabric, but the paper ones. And so I put them into um, food safe 5-gallon buckets,
They don't come that
and
way.
they don't come that way, no,
Okay.
because you just refill your bucket.
And so, how much does a bucket like that cost? And do you get them
A
singly, or do they come
bucket.
in? Yeah.
You can also buy those from Azure Standard. I don't remember how much they are, but they were cheaper there than elsewhere, mostly because you got to buy the lid separate. But and if you
No
don't
good without
want,
a lid, are they?
well, I use a gamma lid. So a gamma lid is one that you put onto the bucket and you can actually twist off and then twist back on. So I'm not going to call it airtight, but it's more airtight than it's not more airtight. It's easier to get into than prying off the whole lid of a regular bucket lid.
And it's
And it's
probably harder for animals to get into it, right?
probably the same. But yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, as long as the lid's on, the lid's on. But yeah, so that's yeah.
So, like $5 a bucket, $10 a bucket.
I don't remember. Yeah, probably $5, 5.99. I mean, for food grade, you're gonna get more expensive. It might be like 5.99 or something. But yeah, yeah. Um,
But that's not the kind of thing you buy at the dollar store, right?
you can if you understand it's not food safe. You're not gonna, or not food safe, but food grade. You're not gonna find food grade stuff like you're not likely to find food grade buckets or things like that at the dollar store. Um, and if you're okay with that, then that's fine. I mean, it could be that you just put your whole paper bag in there, you know.
Mm.
Um, you can keep it in a garbage can if you want. So Verna's talking about with freezing, some things you may have to blanch. Yeah, and you don't have to blanch them, but it's best to
What
blanch
is
them.
that exactly? Because I've seen
Blanching,
that term and I've never
you've never done
actually
that?
done it.
Yeah, so blanching, so like if you put broccoli in the freezer, you're supposed to blanch it first. And what blanching is a quick cook. It I think it breaks the cell walls of inside, and then it cools to stop the cooking. And what that does is when you put it in the freezer, it then doesn't burst. And
Oh,
then I don't understand the whole process, but that is my understanding. If somebody understands the whole process better, then say that. But yeah, so it's basically you are cooking it enough so that when it comes out of the freezer again, it's gonna still be fresh. And when you cook it, just I mean 30 seconds is most things. 30 seconds, a minute. You may steam it or you may boil it for 30 seconds or a minute. And when you put it in ice water after that, that stops the cooking. It stops the processes of it's not going to degrade. But yeah, things
it's
come
still
out better if
fresh.
you blanch them. So like any of the greens, peas you can freeze right away. Things are small things like that. But like green beans are good to blanch. And if you do that, you want to dry it. I have a video on this. I don't remember if I just did a short or if I did a video on it. But
So after
yeah, you
you
want to make sure
plunge
they're
it in
dry.
ice water, after you plunge it in the ice water, then you dry it?
Mhm.
The hair dryer?
No, just with the with your towel. And the reason for that is just so it's dry before it goes into the freezer. Because if it has moisture on it, it's gonna.
Stick
I mean,
together,
kind of
right?
like it's gonna stick together, but then also it can not last as long. So yeah, so that's what blanching is. The other way you can blanch something doesn't have to do with that, and it has to do with the only thing I've seen this applied to is asparagus, and somebody may speak up if you've heard about it applying differently. But with asparagus, um, there are not asparagus. Why am I saying asparagus? No, not asparagus. Celery. They're not the same thing. Um,
They're both
so
green.
with celery, there are some celeries that need blanching before you pick them. And in that case, what it means is shading the stalks because that will get the bitter out of it. And I don't know why it's called
Mm.
blanching, but basically people pile up soil or they put a cover around it. And it's not for all varieties, but some varieties you're supposed to do that so they're not bitter when you pick them. So if
So it
if
has
you've been
nothing.
growing bitter celery, that's something to know about.
So that blanching has nothing to do with cooking. That has to do with the way you grow it. Oh,
Yeah,
that's weird.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why. Um, okay, extra food. Dawn says take it to a church. Yeah, or a food pantry if they'll take it. I don't. They don't always take fresh stuff.
I would think they would take fruit. I mean,
Yeah, they might. And yeah, so that's a great point to make, Andy. If you find it if you find it at the store in the freezer, you can freeze it at home. This is not true with canning. There are some things that are professionally canned in commercial, big, huge things that are not supposed to be canned in a home setting because we don't have the equipment to do that. But it is true with freezing. Yeah. Okay. Dawn says berry root season hasn't started here yet. 12 degrees, hard to plant. Okay. It started
I
here a
thought
while ago.
I thought that said barefoot season.
Well, probably not that either. Yep. So freeze dryer, you can do that as well. I'm not happy with Harvest Right. They have not called me back. You guys will hear about it when they do. When
They still
uh,
haven't called you?
no, I'm going to call them tomorrow. I'm upset. Yeah. We'll talk about that later.
Freeze dryers really shrink the bulk of. I know I picked a bunch of was it cherry tomatoes or was
Yeah.
it strawberries? Cherry tomatoes at Katrina's place last season, and
You didn't freeze dry them. You dehydrated them.
oh, that's right. I dehydrated them. You're right. That
Well,
also,
dehydrating is also a great tool.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead and continue your story now that we have the right
No,
tool.
no, no. Just that there was it reduced the bulk tremendously. You know, I did I don't know 5 trays in the dehydrator, and it ended up with one little quart baggie size of
Yeah.
cherry tomatoes.
And it will last for a very long time on the shelf as long as it's not in the sun or heat. And it'll be pretty nutritive. Yeah.
Can you
Thank you for doing
powder
that, by the
those
way.
then, and then just add them as a like a flavoring?
You can add them to soups. You can add them. You can
But I
add
mean,
them to.
could you powder them first?
You don't have to. No, you can. You could make powder out of that, but
It would make a pretty
um,
garnish, maybe.
yeah, you can powder it. But or you can add it to like egg dishes if you give it enough time to somewhat rehydrate. So I just put them in dried, and then they'll rehydrate enough so that they're a little raisiny. I like them like that.
So
Yeah,
you rehydrate them with the moisture from the egg, or you rehydrate them with water?
with the moisture from the egg.
Hmm.
Or if you, it's better if you have like greens in there first, and you do greens first, and then you put the egg in later. But yeah, you can do it. You can use them all sorts of way. You guys are going to be planting some cherry tomatoes this year, right? You just come pick mine.
Are you going to plant as many as you had last time? Because you
I'm
had
not
an
going to
awful
plant
lot.
cherry tomatoes. I have enough to last me. I prefer cherry tomatoes as a dried product rather than fresh. So I have plenty. Thank you. I like the
Okay.
bigger tomatoes. Yeah.
And you had a lot of tomato plants too. I mean, I don't even.
There was only three,
But they
four.
were
I think
really prolific.
there's three or four uh bigger tomatoes and two. I think it was three regular tomatoes and two cherry tomatoes. I think that
It
were
felt like
here.
there were more than that because it's when you went in your garden, it was half of it was tomatoes.
Well, cherry
A
tomatoes
good,
take off.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Andy says, I'm waiting for trees to get here. I'm watching the stores already for cherry trees. Ooh. Big trees. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know where you're buying them. So that's search out where you're going to get them. Yeah. Okay. Steve says, blanching is like dropping in boiling water for a short period of time. Yes, but you also have to do the cooling process. Um,
Or it
Otherwise,
doesn't
it
go.
keeps on getting, keeps,
Hi.
hi, you have something to say?
Oh,
You're just going to stand there? Okay. That's my dad.
Yeah, supervised.
Um, you're welcome to stay.
Really cool.
Oh, Remy wants to be on the computer. All right. So yeah, you do need the cooling process as well for that. Okay, Vernon says food grade buckets you can get at most hardware stores and pet stores. Correct. There's Remy. There's Remy. Remy was on a weight loss program because when they got her, she was roly poly.
yeah. She was 90 pounds, and I talked to the neighbor who he trains hunting dogs, and he was looking at her last weekend. And he said, "Yeah, I think she should probably be about a 60 to 65 pound dog, based on
Yeah.
her frame." So she's down to
Go
80.
Remy.
She's about 80 pounds now.
Yep.
She gets 3 walks a day, and she's a good girl.
Yeah. Yep. She's good. Oh, awesome live, Howie says. Thank you. All right. Have a good evening. Okay, Steve is continuing. Blanching stops enzymes that cause loss of flavor, color, and texture. Yep. Which means loss of nutrients.
So that broccoli will
Thank
stay
you.
bright green when you
That's
blanch.
why it's bright green. Yeah.
But if you didn't blanch it, it would be that
It could
dull.
lose, yeah.
Oh.
Oh. And flash freezing is good after blanching. Yep.
And is
Yep.
flash freezing like freeze drying? Or is it
It's just putting it, yeah. I mean, it's putting it directly into the freezer, is my understanding. Or are you talking about using, what are you talking about, Verna? Are you talking about using the what's it called? Liquid nitrogen? Because there are those containers that you can put in with liquid nitrogen that flash freezes. Yes,
like
I'm
dry
going to
ice?
call them Verna. Yeah, so here's an important difference. Where it says freeze dryer takes out the moisture and you can powder them easily. So that takes out the moisture. Dehydrating takes out most of the moisture. It doesn't take out all the moisture. So you can still powder them. It's just not going to last 20, 30 years like freeze dried ones would if you sealed it up. It'll last you a couple of years though. I mean, it's fine.
But
Why
flash
would you
freezing,
rehydrate tomatoes with eggs? Because it tastes good.
somebody doesn't
You could
like eggs.
No, he likes eggs. Um, you can make a quiche and put them in the quiche mixture.
Ooh,
And
you know what you could do?
ooh,
Is you could make your crust for your quiche, and then you could lay down those little cherry tomatoes on the bottom so that it would be pretty when you cut into it. And the stuff that you put on top, the eggs and cottage cheese or whatever it is you put in there, would
okay.
probably puff them up.
Okay, Brian has a question for you, and I don't think you have. Have you had that? Did you taste it?
Not a freeze dried tomato.
Okay,
Uh-uh.
well, I have some, so when I see you guys next, I'll bring some.
Okay.
It's
April.
definitely an experience. Everything,
Was
all
it?
the
You gave me
flavors, just
something
like,
that was freeze dried, and it really surprised. Oh, bananas! It
mm-hmm.
was weird because it tasted just like a banana, but the texture was different.
Styrofoam.
It was like, yeah, like honeycomb. It was different.
Yeah. School's canceled tomorrow.
Oh,
Well,
snowman
stay
sledding.
safe. Okay, flash freezing on a cookie sheet. Okay, when it is frozen and then you put it in bags. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How are the tomato slices? Okay, Jacob, they are whenever you have freeze dried food of any kind, especially home freeze dried, I have a suspicion most freeze dried food from the store is dehydrated first, just because they're all like, and that doesn't happen in the home freeze dried. But if you have like a freeze dried tomato that you eat freeze dried and don't rehydrate, if you rehydrate it, it's just like tomato. But if you eat it freeze dried, all that flavor is tremendously enhanced of anything.
It's probably
Um,
concentrated, right?
yes, it's
Yeah.
so concentrated, but more than you would think it is. Like it has much more flavor than you think it is just because of the absence of water. So yeah, it's very good.
So
So
I
this
want to go
is
back.
true.
Fancy, expensive refrigerators have. Oh, really? Very cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I,
All the
I want to
flavor
go.
without the mess.
I want to go back to school being closed. So for the parents of the kids where
Okay, my
school is
mom's
closed,
a retired kindergarten teacher. Go ahead.
I'm wondering if the parents get to stay home and play with their kids in the snow, or do you have to go to work, Andy
Right.
Rabbit? What's your situation? Do you get to stay home
I
too?
think it's her grandkids, so I think she's home. Yeah. We'll see what she says.
Ooh, that sounds
Freeze-dried
interesting.
eggplant
Freeze
slices
dried
make great
eggplant.
cracker substitute. Yep.
Could you make like a little
Um,
appetizer with those two? Use that like as a cracker, and then put like some pesto and some mozzarella cheese, or a freeze dried cherry tomato on, or no, dehydrated cherry tomato on top of the freeze dried.
yep.
Yeah,
I can use the whole freeze-dried tomato.
you could have a little pyramid of different kinds of um, preservation. The Oh, good. I'm glad you get to stay home. A not freeze dried eggplant slice for your cracker, and then a dehydrated tomato for the thing on top, and then something flash frozen on top of that. If we don't go to work, we get
Cilantro.
punished. Steve, how are they going to punish you?
Well, he has to go to work. Um,
Pooey.
yeah, why put something processed on something that's yeah. So okay, we kind of went off onto a different topic. Freeze dryer is not cheap, but you can budget for a freeze dryer, and I do not know what the other brand does. You can call them up and see if they do it. I know Harvest Right does a layaway program where you need $200 to start, 200, 250, I don't remember. So you can start saving up for one of these things and basically pay as you go, whenever you want, you put more money towards it. And then when it's paid off, they deliver it. And so that is something you can budget for. It might take you years to get there, but you can do that.
Does the warranty start upon delivery?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, Verna, do you have the same kind of freeze dryer that Katrina has?
She has a smaller one. She has a medium one. But yeah, it's the same kind.
Same brand.
And hasn't had any problems with it.
You overused yours, maybe.
I don't know. I think just something went out and they just haven't got back to me. All right.
It went out before your move, right?
Yeah. And she started trying to get me to do all these things. I'm like, I can't. I need you guys to do something because I am moving. I need to focus on moving. So, and then I called after, and yeah. Okay, so Andy says sometimes work at the restaurant, but if we get snow, like they're saying, I'm staying home. Grandeur loves plus snow day. Yep. All right, so he says, I see Mary's point. A canned item on a dehydrated on a freeze dried item. Okay. 250 start, then when it's paid off, you get your most recent model. That's supposed, yep. So
Oh,
they're supposed to give you the most recent one. So you can also with this brand Harvest Right, they also, if you start, if you say, okay, yes, I have 250 down, hold my place. If there's a better price, they can also honor the better price after you started paying for it.
like if it goes on sale.
But yeah, but you have to call them. And yeah. Yeah. So Verna does freeze-dried food to sell at QuailCon.
Oh, well, that's kind of nice.
I know. Yeah. You know, when you put money on something though, and then you email them to say, hey, I put money.
The reality is some companies, some people are very receptive and responsive to you.
Yeah.
And other companies and other people need to be reminded as often as it takes. So John had a surgery, this is years ago, and it was a back surgery. And he had 3 things done in his back. I don't even remember what they were, but there were 3 things. Only 2 of them were pre-approved. And so when we submitted the claim, they said, we'll pay for these 2 things, but we're not going to pay for this 3rd thing. I called somebody every day. Well, I started out once a week, and then I went down to calling every day and trying to explain to them how it didn't make sense to have to do another surgery later after he was recovered from the first surgery. Anyway, finally, they were so tired of hearing from me, they went ahead and covered the claim. But it's true. You have sometimes, not always, sometimes you just have to be the squeaky wheel.
If you guys hear me hounding someone for a long time, it's because of her. Because I grew up listening to her get her way. My dad's laughing. You know it's true, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So, oops, sorry. Andy's asking a question. Wait a minute, Katrina. You mean if I put money on tomorrow on Black Friday, I can call them and get that sale price? The answer is yes, and they did that for me when I did mine. But call them when you do the down payment. Call them, do it over the phone, and ask those questions directly to them because I'm not going to take responsibility. But yeah, the answer is yes.
But it's also a good idea when there's something like that where somebody verbally says something to you to go ahead and send an email and asking them to basically confirm it. And that way you've got it in writing. And that way it's harder for them to say, well, we never said that. I mean, I don't know. I haven't worked with this company, and they may not be the type that said we never said that.
I think I'm just dealing with a bad customer service person. Honestly, I'm going to be calling and talking to a manager. Yeah. Dawn's saying, at my age, not going to waste my money on dehydrated is good enough. That makes sense. Yeah. Hot chocolate with peanut butter.
Ew.
What do you mean?
Does the peanut butter melt?
Yes. Do you like Reese's?
I do, but I've never tried peanut butter in hot chocolate. I've tried just about everything else. Because all I can picture is a big clump of.
There's not a big clump of peanut
butter swimming around in my hot chocolate.
I make mine better.
Do you use chunky peanut butter or smooth?
Well, smooth. You want chunk? Let me have some hot chocolate with some nuts. Okay, Steve is confirming. Yeah, you call and ask for that new price. They change the price. Yep. They've been responsive up until this point of this issue. So, yeah. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. I know. And Steve is in the customer service business. Yeah, and they do give it to you in writing. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes. It wasn't actually that. It was literally like peanut butter and chocolate. Well, cocoa. Cacao.
Do you use the like a hot chocolate mix, or do you make it from cocoa and butter and sugar? I mean, cocoa and sugar and
Whatever I have. Today it was like cooking cocoa. Yeah.
it tastes different when it's made that way. It's a little less sweet.
Yeah. Well, you can add sugar too if you want, or honey, or whatever. Yep. Yep.
As you
Steve's a
should,
good one.
Steve.
And
Yes.
Steve, you know that light that was on my oven that turned off? It works now. I don't know. It was just that like 1 or 2 days. Yeah.
Is Steve your oven repair guy?
No, Steve just is the customer service person that I know. And I asked him one time on a live, I was like, does this look? Yeah. Anyway, it was still working. It was just the indicator light wasn't working that if the stove was on. And then it works now. Okay. Get some peanut butter powder. I've had peanut butter powder.
You could
Used
make
it for
peanut butter
smoothies,
powder with
though.
your freeze dryer. Or
You
was
could,
that be too much
except
work?
for it wouldn't work because it has too much oil. They have to do I don't know, Verna, help me out. There has to be a pre-process, I think, for that to freeze dry.
Could you freeze dry peanuts and then
Right.
powder them?
I think that might be better, but it still has too much oil.
Really?
Like chocolate doesn't freeze dry, and peanut butter
Well,
doesn't
candy
freeze
bars
dry.
do, and they're made with chocolate.
Freeze dry?
I've heard people freeze dry candy, but maybe it's not
People
like
freeze
just
dry
chocolate.
candy. That's a Steve question.
Steve.
He's the candy master.
So, like, if you wanted to freeze dry a Snickers bar or a Mars bar,
That's
you could
not
do that.
generally what people are freeze drying. People are freeze drying gummy bears and
Ew.
Jolly Ranchers. Yeah. Okay. Verna says, can't do peanut butter even when you do cheese. You better have paper towels to grab oil.
It's a mess, huh?
And Steve says we freeze dry candy, but not chocolate. Yeah.
So Steve, when you say candy, you mean like hard candy rather than
Or
candy bar?
taffy or anything. Oh, yeah. Buster's saying, I was thinking like Mary, a lump of peanut butter and hot chocolate. Guys,
Sounds
it's
awful,
not
doesn't
lumpy.
it?
It's not lumpy.
Well, Buster and I are going to have to try that and see if it's real.
Yeah, just don't grab the chunky one. Steve says, I just know a little about a lot and a lot about nothing. Oh my gosh.
As long as you know what you don't know.
Well, that's not going to happen.
So the candy bars, then they have
we have
what?
an update.
Jam?
Buster says Snickers does work.
Oh, I love Snickers. That's one of my favorite candies. That and peanut M&Ms. I bet peanut M&Ms would not work.
Yeah, chocolate has too much fat in it. Yep.
But you could freeze dry carob, maybe?
Probably.
Dry
I mean, you could probably
candy.
freeze dry cacao. You could probably freeze dry that. Yeah, saltwater taffy is good. I had some of the ones that you did. I have not done it yet myself. I don't
And
need
it doesn't
to
get stuck in
myself.
your teeth, right?
It's
Because
a
that's the
different
worst part
texture.
about
It changes the texture to like a
honeycomb.
fluffy thing. Yeah. Okay, so Steve does taffy,
Ooh,
bit
honey.
of honey. Ooh, that sounds good.
Does.
Skittles and Jolly Ranchers. You're not supposed to do honey because it goes.
Oh, that's interesting. So I made something called milk jam. I made these cookies for the
On
neighborhood.
purpose?
Yes, I made these cookies for Dave, the guy who does our milk duds. The guy who does snow blows our driveway when it snows, and it was coffee cookies, and it had like a little thumbprint in it, and you filled that with milk jam. And so to make milk jam, you take milk and sugar and you microwave it for 10 minutes, which is ridiculous. And then you stir it, and then you do it for another 10 minutes, and you stir it. Well, what happened is
Are you just making condensed milk?
What?
Are you just making condensed milk at that point?
I don't know, but it was mixed with milk and sugar, and I microwaved it, and then I put the whisk in there to do it. And as soon as the whisk touched it, it exploded and it got all over the place. So, like you said, it grew. Yeah.
My
What's
dad asked me,
RD?
saying, "Just eat the darn chocolate. Why freeze dry it?"
Oh, FD. Okay.
Oh, so you have more later. What if there's a sale? Put them in the freezer. Yeah, there's chocolate. Put in the freezer. No, freeze-dried candy is much different. Okay, milk duds are good too. Okay. Um, freeze-dried
Pink and
candy
chewy,
is so
probably.
different than regular candy, and the texture is what gets it, really different. People love Skittles and Jolly Ranchers. Yeah,
So I have a question
caramel
about the milk
M&Ms.
duds. Milk
Okay.
duds have chocolate on the outside.
But they're not meant for long-term storage. It's meant to be a treat used for now, for like those have a shelf life.
Okay.
Yeah. But most candies don't have very much moisture in them. So really what you're doing is you're taking out just enough moisture, the rest of the moisture, but then you're using the vacuum portion to puff it. That's really what people are doing is they're making puffed candy with a vacuum. Yeah.
So you know those peppermints you get, those peppermints you get that are really porous? Are those
Yeah.
freeze dried, do you think?
I don't know.
Wow, they were in the
Yeah.
candy aisle, Skittles.
A lot of them are popping up now. Different brands are starting to come in, or different local people are starting to sell them. Steve, are you selling any, or are the kids all getting them? The grandkids all getting them? He has a horde of grandkids. um, yeah, you see them in like specialty stores in some places, and sometimes you see them in like gift stores and stuff like that. But yeah, can't freeze dry lifesavers or other hard candies. Um, but what about Jolly Ranchers? People do though. So why wouldn't that happen? Why wouldn't you be able to do that? We have switched topics. That's okay. Those round peppermints are not freeze dried, though you can freeze dry them. Okay. Um,
I'm not talking about the round flat ones. I'm talking about the
no, yeah,
the
the ones
roundish.
that are in the wrapper that you can go like
Yeah.
this and it pops out of. Yeah,
I don't know about that. I put them in my mouth and they just
they
melt in my
melt.
mouth.
Yeah,
I like those.
yeah.
The other ones are not that great.
Oh, Jolly Heart Ranchers aren't as hard as lifesavers. Okay. Yeah, I haven't done the candies, and I probably won't unless it's like something that I decide I want to do for
Special occasion.
yeah. Yeah, freeze dried candy depends on what the candy's made from. Yep. Oh, the really hard ones come out sticky. Okay. I don't
Why
know.
would that be? That doesn't make sense.
Well, it's all sugar. So if it's all sugar, it might be different than if it's part sugar and part something else. I don't know. Hard candy. I'm just going to share knowledge that I have, and I don't know if it matters. When you make hard candy or when you make candy of sorts, there's called hardball stage.
Mm-hmm.
And if it cooks it up to a certain temperature, and at the lower temperature, it's a softball stage. And if you drop a piece of
The molten
liquid
stuff.
sugar that you're making into a cold glass of water,
Mm-hmm.
it will go to the bottom and you'll be able to move it around. If it's hardball stage, then if you do the same thing, it will drop as a solid at the bottom and it'll be a little ball. So there has to be some sort of difference
Chemically or
chemically
maybe not chemically,
in
but
its makeup.
structurally, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jolly
Cooking is
Ranchers
all
are
about
sticky?
science.
Okay, Jolly Ranchers are sticky. If I had any, it was from you, Verna. You're the only person I've had freeze-dried candy from. Freeze-dried Jello. How did that turn out?
Dry.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, crack stage. That is harder than hardball. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Uh-oh, we have a debate. Steve's Jolly Ranchers weren't sticky.
Well,
What flavors were they?
maybe he lives in a less humid climate. Would that affect
I
freeze
don't
drying?
think Steve lives in a less humid climate. I think they live in a similarly humid climate.
Okay.
But what the humidity was
What
shouldn't
about
matter. It's
elevation?
dry.
Does elevation affect freeze drying
I don't think so.
and humidity?
Well, humidity would because it takes longer to do it,
Ah,
right?
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Um oops. Oh,
Oh,
okay. Yeah. My dad says you need to do your annual April Fool's Day video. I have an annual April. Oh my. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think I have put it into the Facebook group. So if people are not on the Facebook group for Friends of Sow and Tare, go ahead and uh, click on this link. It's also in all descriptions. And you have to answer the questions and say yes, you'll agree to the rules. Otherwise, we don't let you in. But yeah, that is yeah, I do post that. So there's somebody else does a video, and it's how to grow M&Ms. And it's
as long
really
as we're
well
talking
done.
about candy, right?
Yeah. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. There's also a marshmallow harvest or marshmallow. Who does that? Anyway, there's a marshmallow harvest of
What
talking
happens
about the
if you freeze
marshmallow.
dry a marshmallow? Does it like turn into the Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters?
It goes. Oh, you mean does it get big? I think they are just smaller. Brenna says she's done it. She says it's like the Lucky Charm marshmallows.
Oh, real dense.
Yeah. Snacking of jars of freeze-dried goodies, but didn't go to ask because she was in the hospital.
Oh
Oh,
no. And her husband didn't know she was in the hospital?
that she was snacking on jars of freeze-dried goodies.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yes, I know you can freeze dry at your humidity. Yeah. There is a spaghetti tree video. There is a spaghetti tree. How to grow spaghetti. I think it's the same that I think that's the same people that do the marshmallows. Yeah. Okay, it puffs a bit, tastes like Lucky Charms.
Mm.
Swells up and then reduces to get crunchy. Yeah, that makes
Mm.
sense. Yeah, because I think when there's a vacuum, it gets bigger, and then when the vacuum's released, doesn't it shrink up then? I think that's true. Yeah. Since we've moved on to freeze drying, does anybody have any questions or comments or anything to add about grocery shopping type things for budgeting, for tips, for all of that? They don't shrink when released? Okay. I think the one thing I would add is to pay attention to sales, but then also sometimes you're not going to eat what you want to eat. And
Because you have to eat the stuff that's on sale instead of what you really want?
yeah, and like you might be reduced in your amounts and stuff like that too. But yeah.
But here's the thing. If you are careful and you buy things on sale and everything, then you've got extra money, and then you can go out to eat and you can order whatever you want off the menu. Let's see. Do you do coupons for your shopping? Yes. So I do digital coupons on my Fred Meyer app, but I also have a little old-fashioned coupon wallet thing. Although I don't have very many coupons because we don't get the newspaper anymore.
So she used to before the online coupons, she used to use instead of a folded piece of paper, it was an old envelope from some mail thing that had been delivered, and she would use the one side for the menu, the other side for the same thing, but in the envelope. Go ahead.
And then you open up the envelope, like say this is an envelope. Menu one side, list the other side, and then I would have already picked out my coupons and I would slide them inside the envelope so that they were handy.
Right.
And Steve, you're absolutely right. You have to do it within reason when you're buying sales, because otherwise you end up with stuff and it goes out of date before you have a chance to use it. And the food banks don't want food that's out of date. So,
but some food that's out of date is really just the sell by date, and it's completely fine.
But there are things like, for me, like chili. Every winter we eat chili for, like we eat a lot of chili. And so I don't do my own canning. I know Katrina's the
I just canned chili today, by the way.
I've never done any canning, but there are those things that you always eat. Chili's one, tuna fish, I don't know. Cereal is good to buy on sale.
Yeah.
At certain times of the year, they'll have certain things on sale, like around Christmas time or on the holidays. Baking things will always be on sale: flour, sugar, butter.
Yeah, there are those seasonal sales.
Yeah, and like I already had some flowers at home, but the day after Valentine's Day is always a good day to go buy flowers because they're on sale.
Flowers and chocolates, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually did go to Dollar General the day after, and they were already gone. I didn't go there for that. I went there for something else, but
somebody beat you to the sales.
Yeah. No, I went there for something else.
And the day-old rack. Our Fred Meyer has a day-old rack for bakery items, and they also have I don't know what you call it, but for the meat department, they have stuff that's just about to go out of
meat does that too. Yeah. I think our visitor is back to visit Miss Mama Kitty, because I hear Ringo going. Rah! You guys didn't see the video from this morning. I think Mama Kitty's in heat, and probably the one who beat up Mr. Ringo is this big giant gray cat. Yeah. Andy says, I cleaned out a cabinet that I haven't used in a few years because I ain't climbing on the floor anymore. Some of the sell-by dates are 2017 before. Okay. And Easter candy tastes better when it's 50% off. You know it. 50% of the calories too, Steve.
It totally tastes better. Hope that doesn't mean Steve tastes better.
Can you guys hear him? He stopped.
I can't hear him. I don't shop on Amazon. I just never quite got on that train. I like to touch the things I'm going to buy. It's like I see at the grocery store, they have these people that will do the shopping for you, and then you just pull into the parking spot and you pick up your groceries. Well, how do you know if you got the good strawberries or
produce part of it?
When I go shopping in the produce department, I pick up the piece of fruit and I smell it. That's how I know if it's going to be good or not. Avocados, I used to squeeze them to see if they were the way I want them, but now what I've discovered is if they're the right shape, they're always perfect. I don't know why that is.
Well, they are picked unripe, avocados generally.
I would think.
Most avocados, you pick them, they ripen off of the tree. So Verna heard him. And yes, Mama Kitty does need to go to the vet, and I need to make her an appointment.
But don't take her on a day when there's snow on the roads.
Yeah, well, that was I did not plan on him getting hurt. Yeah, hand-picked.
Yeah, canned or box stuff, that's not a big deal. But yeah, like if you see the meat, you want to see what it looks like.
So this is a point. Amazon is starting to get cheaper than the stores around here, and never is out of something like the stores here. So I know there are some things. It's not just Amazon; it's just online in general. There's other stores that you can get from online stuff. Like whenever I need something at the hardware store, I always call because I'm either going half an hour that way or an hour that way. And yeah, I mean, you have to shop around before you shop sometimes. Yeah.
Well, when you're in a remote location, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Jacob says, it comes to you. And there's other things other than Amazon too. So, I
So
mean,
my thing
there's
with Amazon delivery, and maybe this just comes from growing up in the 60s and 70s, it just seems like there's an awful lot of waste. All that cardboard for all the boxes that they deliver.
there's a lot.
Yeah, and sometimes the box is this big for the item that's this big.
Yeah.
It feels wasteful to me, and it's very convenient, and I have used them, but there are people that get a delivery every day, and to me that just seems wasteful.
Yeah. No, we see
That's my soapbox.
I see FedEx, UPS, and what I'm assuming to be Amazon because they're just white vans. And I see this, every day, all three. There are not that many houses on my street.
Are they all stopping at your house, Katrina?
No, they all have stopped at my house. I do know the FedEx and the UPS people's names, but every day you see them go by, and it's like, what is everybody ordering? And they can go to the same house almost every day too.
And then there's the gas that's going into that, and the wear and tear on those vehicles. I can't get on board with that. Like I say,
but
I have
if
used
you're
them,
driving a
and it's very
distance,
convenient.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I have ordered stuff from whoever just because I am somewhat remote, and if I'm not going to go, like, I'm not planning on going and driving for another couple of weeks, but I want this thing now and I need it for a project I'm doing,
Yeah,
is it me driving or them driving on a route that they already drive?
I guess.
So yeah. All right. Steve says we were at a bar of soap. They substituted because they only had the 9-pack. Oh my gosh. Got the 9-pack for single. Yeah. Well.
Oh, really? Well, that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Rather support local. Even big box stores have local people working there. Yep, that is true. That is true. I know in town we have the grocery store, we have the Dollar General, and we have our hardware store, which is very little. But there's another
Hardware
place.
stores are so much fun, though. I love going in a hardware
This
store.
hardware store is
Not fun.
not as fun as other hardware stores. But they have useful things, but they don't have all the useful things you need.
I used to like to go to the one in Terrebonne because they would have
They had a
bins and
fun
stuff,
one.
and you didn't know what it was, but it's so much fun to look at it and imagine what it could be used for.
Yeah. Okay, so Andy says boxes are good in compost pile. You can kill off grass and all that. Yeah.
Well, as long as it's getting used and it's not just adding to the waste stream. I mean, I guess that's my issue. Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Fire starter.
Yeah, so Verna doesn't have a car, and so she's not a driver, and so it's a really good thing to be able to do these. Yeah.
It's convenient.
Oh, tagged. Okay.
Tell me about the waste of the cardboard box you talked about. So there's something funny on there?
Okay. We'll have to look at that later.
Yep.
Andy says, try to buy a local, but my local doesn't want to keep anything in stock, so they have pushed me to Amazon. We need a small recessed light. 3 stores later, I gave up. I have been in the same exact position, and it's very frustrating, especially since you went to a store that ought to have something, and then they don't. Yeah.
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 But it's hard for businesses, I think, because it's hard to compete.
It's hard to compete, but I started going more online. I was resistant too, but I started going more online when stores stopped having things.
Yeah.
Like Target or whatever would, oh, I can find this at Target. You don't have this?
Yeah.
It's like a staple. Yeah. So, Yeah. Yeah, Andy says 2 years ago I never went on Amazon at all. Yep. Yep. Um, yeah, I was resistant for a very long time, and I just got to the point that, you know, if the stores aren't going to carry it, why bother going to the stores? I mean, for certain stores. I mean, Joanne Fabrics is closing down. I don't
That's so
know where my
sad.
nearest now, maybe Roseburg.
Well,
But
we have one in Redmond and it's closing, but
is
I
it
hope they
closing?
keep. Yeah, I hope they keep the one in Bend.
I need a piece of silk. If you're around, go get a piece of silk for
What do you
me.
need a piece of silk for?
Okay, I have a fantastic friend and coworker, and one of the cat carriers, the one that I took Ringo to the vet in, I don't know, it was a vet tech or whatever, tried to open the top instead of the actual handle. It's a collapsible one. They tried to open it like this is an opening. I'm like, you're breaking it. And anyway, they're not paying for it. But it's cracked. But it's one of these clips that like you clip open. I don't know if that's probably didn't tell you anything. But
Like on those jars that are.
like on an old suitcase.
Oh, okay. And
Um,
so I'm not seeing where the silk comes in. You need a piece
I'm
of
getting
ribbon?
there. I'm getting there. Okay. So that's what it's supposed to look like.
Okay.
And this, see, it's broken on the side. And it's loose. So that's what I sent him. So I was asking if there was a type of glue or tape I could use to solidify that, because they're brand new. The only time they've been used really is moving the animals, and then the vet, like the brand new collapsible. Yeah. My dad's saying good night. Good night. And he said that that's not going to be strong enough, but silk is stronger. So if I use silk and super glue the silk to the plastic and make it go around, then that will have the strength.
I still don't understand how it's going to work, but
You
I don't
just
think I have any
basically
silk.
cover the plastic in silk, and the silk it has that strength because that latch has to hold the weight of a cat or a rabbit. So anyway, I trust him. There you go. Yeah, if they don't want stock, why try anymore? That's where I got with a lot of stores. Joann's filed bankruptcy. They're not closing all the stores, though, I don't think. Are they?
I'm not sure. I
The
know the
article
one
I
in
read,
Redmond is closing.
the article I read said that 2 of the Joann's in Southern Oregon were closing, and I know the one closest to me is one of them. Yeah.
It
So
used
Sue
to be.
says,
We have 2 main stores, Walmart and Lowe's, so Amazon, yeah. So it used to be when I was in high school and when Katrina was little, I did a lot of sewing. And it was cheaper to sew clothes than it was to buy them. But now fabric is so expensive and clothes are so cheap. It's cheaper to buy clothes than it is to make your own.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
silk
I think
ribbon.
ribbon would work. I think that might be a good choice.
But where do I get silk ribbon? At Joann's?
Do you have any ribbon? Do you have any sewing notions at home?
Not silk, as far as I know.
Well, you might have like the kind of ribbon that goes with floral stuff. That would be silk, I think.
Mm-mm.
No?
Nope. Yeah. 2 hours away.
Is that
So
the
I
same
think what
person
we're
that had?
left with is as far as fabric stores. I don't know if there's a local fabric store or not, but if there's not, then it's probably Walmart, which is not the greatest fabric department as far as I've actually never
Very
been in
basic.
Walmart, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's
very
very
basic.
basic. Yeah. So next time I go in, I'll have to see if they're still around and pop in there. But there you go. I need about that much by that much silk.
I think ribbon might be your solution. And even a craft store might have that. Do you have like a Michael's or
I don't
what are
think
some
so.
other?
I don't think, maybe in Medford. Yeah, there's a lot of stores that could be here.
But that's
So,
part of the charm. Is that you're remote and you don't have all those stores, right?
yeah, but it'd be nice to have things closer. Like it'd be nice if the Best Buy was in the store half an hour away rather than an hour away.
Do they deliver? Can you order something online and have them?
Yep, there you go. That might be
Yeah,
my
but if you order
option.
it on Amazon, you're going to get like a spool, and it's going
I
to
don't
be
think you can order.
250.
I don't, even at a craft store, I don't think you can do, they don't do the per foot thing. I think that's only at fabric stores. And I don't even know of any
I
fabric
don't even
stores
know
that
if they
do
do
that.
that in the fabric store anymore. Even,
I
yeah,
think that is it just by the roll now.
probably.
Yeah. Um, yeah, exactly. Last time I looked, I just was looking to glance kind of thing, and it was like, why bother having this department? Like sell thread and zippers and that's it, like at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use that ribbon for a lot of things. I just didn't realize it was so strong, and I should have, because I mean,
It's made by worms.
it's made by silkworms. And I mean silk, and then the silkworms, and then the spiders. That what color silk do I need? Any color, Andy. You gonna send me some? The address is in the description. I might wait and see if something shows up in my PO box. Oh, you're funny.
Do you have any silk scarves that you don't want anymore?
Why would I have a silk scarf?
I don't know. You might.
Isn't the purpose of a scarf to keep you warm?
Not a silk scarf. A silk scarf is to make you beautiful.
Oh, I thought the silk scarf were for people's hairdos in the 70s and 60s to keep them nice and tight while they drove with the top down. Tell me I'm wrong. Thanks, Steve. Now I'm going to get a whole bunch of little silk scraps. Thank you, Andy.
Now's your chance to request a certain color, Katrina.
It doesn't matter to me. Not from someone that lived in California. I also did not have a convertible or a hairdo. This is my hairdo. Uh-oh.
Yes, because Steve needs to be beautiful. Is that?
Yeah, there you go. For instance, I was going to say I have a silk scarf that has a stylish belt, stylish about 40 years ago. Yep. Exactly. It's not going to keep you warm. It's for your hairdo or your updo. I think they called it,
Or
right?
your belt, or you could tie it like a tie. There's all kinds of things you can do with a scarf.
Okay.
When I worked in the bank, that was a standard accessory. We had uniforms, and they were just you had a vest, and you could either wear a skirt or pants. I think we had a blazer too, and they came in certain colors anyway. And then we just wore our own shirt. But to dress it up, we would tie a scarf around your neck, and there are different ways you could tie a scarf to make it, different. It's like how I said I don't like to eat the same meal more than 2 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can tie your scarf 5 different ways, and you've got 5 different outfits.
Yep, you could. Yeah, I think that's not the style anymore, is it?
I don't know what the style is anymore.
Do we have a style of the day? Pajama pants? That's what I'm wearing right now. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. The style I don't care for is, when, especially, I guess I don't think girls do it, but boys, they'll wear their pants down so low that you can see their underwear. I think that's just really unattractive.
And hard to run in.
I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was a kid, jeans, the only people who wore jeans were like farmers and ranchers. That was not something you wore.
Mm-hmm. Now they're every day.
Girls wore dresses. We had play clothes. We would put on pants. I remember having pedal pushers. Those just below the knee. But to go to school, you wore a dress up until, I think in high school, we got to start wearing pants.
They call them pedal pushers, so you don't get your pants in the wheels of or in the
I'm not
pedals.
sure if it was pedal Pedal or pedal Petal. I really don't know.
What were you selling then?
What?
If you're pedaling?
Maybe that's
you're
why they were
pedaling
called
your
pedal
wares?
pushers. Maybe because you were pushing the pedals and you didn't want to get your pants in the chain of the bike. I don't know. Yeah.
Was the grease greasier then?
Absolutely. Everything was more back in the day.
Okay, Andy has a style update. My style this week will be a heated jacket or a vest. I may be getting negative
Oh
30
man, that's cold.
below wind chill. That is indoor day.
But Andy, do you have to do much outdoors or are you indoors most of the time?
She has rabbits.
Oh, and the rabbits are outside. But maybe in a covered space? Ah, thank you, Steve.
Sure.
You probably
Steve's
Googled
our
it, right?
local Googler. Yeah, Andy, what do you do for your animals at 30 below? What is it without wind chill?
It's probably 20 below.
Yeah, she has rabbits and quail. I know from my rabbits, we're not getting that cold. If we get that cold, we're in trouble. I put up a tarp on one side, the side that the wind blows from, and so they don't get wet with the rain, and so it blocks the wind. And they've been doing fine. The one mistake people can make is to just wrap them so they don't have any airflow, and that can be deadly because condensation can go on them and then cause
freezing,
frostbite and freezing and all of that. Yeah.
Even though they
Andy,
have fur.
put your fans outside, aims north. I don't want any of that negativity. Yeah, your animals get best wishes. Yep. Yeah, that's what I do for my animals. And mine still have their winter bowls. It hasn't gotten below freezing in about a week. Okay. But the rabbits in the tractor are doing really well. They're moving 3 times a day now. The grass is not growing very much right now, so they're pretty much just eating what already was growing. And they're going to be done with that section here probably at the end of next week. I'll probably have to move them over across the street. They might get another week out of this side of the hill. But yeah, they're just traveling along in their little tractor. Steve's forecasted an inch of snow on Wednesday. Guess school will be closed.
Is school really closed with only an inch?
He's in Mississippi.
Oh, so it's unexpected. It's not.
People don't know what to do with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Rabbits are in a chain link dog pen that I made into a rabbit shed. Rolled down the tarp walls, turned their fan off, put bowls of water in cages, keeps the wind out. Good. Yeah, it's all about wind for them. It's not necessarily keeping them warm. It's keeping them The wind and keeping them
Dry.
keep airflow. Yeah.
So rabbits in the wild den, right? They dig a hole and they burrow under the ground.
12 inches.
Ooh.
Jacob, where are you? Where are you that you're getting 12 inches of snow over 2 days? Oops. I just clicked on that by accident, but we'll read it and then answer the question. Quail are all in winter community cage. We put plastic feed sacks up today. Good. That's good. Oh, you had 2 snow plows, and last year they ran into each other. Yeah, if the snowplow people don't know how to drive, that's okay. One of my favorite signs in Oregon is "Do not pass snowplows on the right."
Yeah,
I just think
you'd
it's
have to be an
hilarious
idiot to do that, right?
sign is right. Yeah. Jacob's in Wisconsin. Okay. So our
Where in
question:
Wisconsin?
Where in Wisconsin? You don't have
That's
to tell us your address. Northeastern.
okay. Because
Okay, what was your question? I forgot. We were
my
answering
question
things today. Yeah.
was where was it 12 inches of snow?
No, before that.
I don't remember. Can you rewind it?
Yeah, right.
Mm,
I don't remember what we were saying.
I
If
don't
you
either.
guys remember, let us know. Denmark, Wisconsin. Sounds like that should be in Illinois. Illinois has like one name of a town that doesn't belong somewhere else. Maybe 2. I think Macomb and Chicago are probably the only originals.
Well, remember when you went to it was in Iowa, I guess, when you went to visit the Dubuque College, somebody said that they were from Oregon. You said you were from Oregon. They said, "Oh, I'm from Oregon too." And they said, "Well, what street do you live on?"
Yeah, that's Oregon, Illinois.
Oh, which is bizarre to me. How
Yep.
long did it
And
take
I
you
was
guys
like, it took me forever to be like, what? What do you... I told her, I'm like, I don't know that one. I'm like, what do you, of course you don't. Like, you know all the streets in Oregon? Yeah, we were speaking different languages there. So, yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So yeah, the rabbit tractor's doing good. They're eating through things. I think it's going to be really, really good. Oh, there is a Denmark, Illinois. It's Southern Illinois. Oh boy. Oh, there's Oregon, Ohio. Oh my gosh. Oh goodness,
I think there's an Oregon, Wisconsin too, isn't there?
There might be. There might be.
I
Real
live in Oregon
originals.
and I don't know what the name means even. It's kind of embarrassing. I should know that. Did you learn that in school, what Oregon means or where it gets its name from?
I think so, but I don't remember. Yeah.
So you didn't really learn it? Kiwani. That's funny because my son lives in Wanakee, which is the same letters, only turned different direction.
So yeah, Illinois doesn't have any original names.
Well, look at Oregon. We have Dallas, Oregon. We have Portland, Oregon. We have.
That was a coin flip, wasn't it?
I think
Was
so.
it going to be named after Portland, Maine, or something else? And I don't remember what something else was. And it was
I
a coin
don't
flip.
either. Salem, Oregon. There's a Salem in someplace else.
Yeah, a big one that you should know because it's in history. Someplace else? Massachusetts? Witch trials?
Salem. Well, the witch trials. Was that Massachusetts? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of other names.
Oh, in Illinois?
No, in Oregon that are.
Oh, in Oregon. Yeah.
Oh, Milwaukee. There's a Milwaukee, Oregon. It's spelled different than Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
but
Salem, Massachusetts.
I can never remember which one is spelled which way. One has a double E on the end. The other one has an IE on the end.
Yeah. I don't know. But, if it was in Illinois, they'd say it funny. Like Orion is Orion. And San Jose doesn't have a little which I don't remember what that's called. What is that called? Over the E?
Accent?
In Spanish. It's called something though. It's not just called an accent.
I don't know.
Anyway, it doesn't have it, and so it is San Jose. And I laughed my butt off once I heard that.
I remember when I was a kid, we used to get the San Jose Mercury newspaper, and I would, oh, McMinnville. We have a McMinnville in Oregon, and Milwaukee, right? And Salem. Look at this. Oregon,
Yep.
Illinois is up north, west of Chicago.
Yeah,
We don't
I've
have a
been there.
Chicago in Oregon. Oregon is Portuguese, which means, really? I did not know that. Thank you, Steve.
Waterfalls.
Here are the
Probably.
waters. Huh. Interesting.
Verna was pregnant
Houston,
with her
Arkansas.
eldest, lived in Houston, Arkansas, even when using zip codes. My mail into Texas before arriving. Oh my gosh.
So I live in Redmond, Oregon, right? And I was a student teacher this many years ago, and we were expecting a assembly, and so I was I a student teacher at that time? No, I was a substitute teacher at that time, I think, and I was in somebody's classroom, substitute teaching, and we were expecting this a person was going to come and give an assembly, and that was an hour block of time that I didn't have to plan for. I mean, I was just sitting with the kids and it'll be fine. So,
and you didn't.
what ended up happening is the guy he didn't show, and so they never called us down to the gym where they were going to do the assembly. It turns out he went to Redmond, Washington.
A little different.
And he was driving around trying to find a school, John Tuck School. He couldn't find it. Finally, he stopped to ask somebody. They go, "What? What are you talking about?" And then he called the school, and they said, "Where are you?" He said, "Well, I'm in such and such in Washington." Anyway, so it's crazy. And I have a friend who lived in Petersburg, Alaska. Oregon, Wisconsin is in south central Wisconsin. I thought there was
I've
one.
never heard of the Oregon.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Alaska.
I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. It's
St.
gone.
Petersburg, Alaska.
Oh, yeah. And so there's also St. Petersburg in Florida. So she was in Alaska, and these people got off the plane, and they were ready for Florida. They had shorts,
A
they
little
had
different.
tank tops, and they somehow, when they made the reservations, they just totally screwed up.
Somebody is not
Made a
getting a
mistake.
tip at the travel center.
Oh, man. Can you imagine planning for your tropical vacation and ending up in
And all your budget is spent on coats and snow pants.
Oh, another money saving tip. If you are on a vacation someplace and suddenly the weather turns really cold, go to the thrift store and just buy a jacket. And you spend a couple bucks, you use it while you're there, and who
Give it
cares
back.
what it looks like, keeps you warm.
I thought you were going to say put socks on your hands.
Oh, that's
I
what we
remember
did when I
doing
was
that.
a kid.
I remember doing that when we were visiting in Oregon before we moved there, and in the snow,
Yeah.
we put socks on our hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is you have to change them pretty regularly because they get wet and cold.
There's one
Springfield,
here,
I have
Andy.
heard that. I have heard there's a Springfield. There's a Springfield in Oregon. I don't know if there's one in California.
Sheridan. Yep.
So
Yep.
Sheridan, Wyoming. Where else is Sheridan?
Oregon.
Oh, that's right. There is a Sheridan in Oregon. There's a La Grande in Oregon. There's an Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
Ontario is in Oregon. Pendleton. Yep.
Yeah. Although, is Pendleton original? Because is that the Pendleton of Pendleton blankets?
Yes. Pendleton blankets were that place was in Pendleton, Oregon.
Right. Do you guys know about Pendleton blankets?
Me?
Is that something? No, I know you know. You have one.
Are you talking about the Hudson Bay blanket?
Is that what it is? I thought it was a Pendleton with the lines on it.
That's a Hudson Bay blanket.
Oh, I thought it was a Pendleton.
No, that was so Nanu, Daddy's mom, that was given to her by a boyfriend way back. Who knows how long ago that would have been.
So my great grandma.
She
No,
would
my
have been
grandma.
your grandma on
Nanu. Okay.
Daddy's side.
Oh, Nanu. Yeah.
Yeah. And it has, I forget what the colors are, green, red, and yellow, I think.
I'm black.
And the black are the little lines on the side, and the blacks indicate how many pelts
Beaver
it could
beaver
be
pelts.
traded for or something.
Yep. So it's built into the blanket. There's lines on it, and it says how it's like 5 lines or 4 lines or whatever it is, and that's how many beaver pelts it's worth. So someone who can come in and pay for them with beaver pelts.
Well,
And
this is talking about in the old fur
yeah,
trading
not
days.
now.
You can't do
Not
it
now.
now.
Now they're just super
I'd like to
expensive.
see that. Well, I brought my pelts.
I don't think they have those lines on them anymore, do they?
I don't know. The one we have has lines on it. I think it has 3.5 lines. But like I say, it was a boyfriend of Nanu. And so, I mean, Nanu and Papa were married in I don't know what, a long time ago, 1940 something. So it's an old blanket.
So Steve's saying, never heard of Pendleton blankets, though there is a Pendleton blankets. Yes, per Google. This is Steve again. They have the one with lines and Indian style as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
So I mean, they think that's kind of like what it is, and they continue to make it as it is, as it was, as like a history piece. But yeah, now they're super expensive.
Because I think of it as a Hudson Bay blanket. I think that's what I would call it. Come from the Hudson Bay Trading Company way back when I was a youngster. Back in the 1800s.
You were not that old. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Pendleton. So I don't know if that's from Pendleton, Oregon, or if that's from Pendleton something else.
It's
It's
from
probably
Pendleton,
something
Oregon.
else.
It is from Pendleton, Oregon.
It's originated there?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the whole fur trapping industry was in the Pacific Northwest.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although Hudson Bay, I think, is in New York or something.
Did you look it up? I've got a budget. I can't pay $319 for a blanket. How about 5 beavers? Do you have it? Like, do you want to get it and show people? Or you don't want to?
Does anybody really want to see an old blanket? It's in the hope chest, I think. I think that's where
it's in the hope chest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it's wool, right? Yeah, scratchy. You don't want a $319 scratchy blanket? What's wrong with you? Oh, Verna wants to see it. Jacob wants to see it.
I'll see if I can find it.
Okay. Sorry. Make her get up. I hope you guys are enjoying this. We have gone from our topic, but I think we talked about our topic pretty thoroughly. And if this is your first time here, this is how it goes. We have a topic, and I'm trying this year to have more that are like, you guys know what the topic is beforehand. But yeah. So here's the blanket.
I'm looking for
Where are the beaver stripes? Where are the beaver stripes?
Oh.
It's a pretty heavy blanket too. So how many beaver pelts was that worth?
Do they show up? Do I need to
bring it closer a little bit? There you go. So 3.5 beaver pelts?
Yeah.
3.5.
But it's a nice blanket. It's it's big.
Yeah.
Oh, the lines are darker on this side.
Yeah. I wonder what they did with the other half
of the beaver.
The beaver pelt.
They probably made a hat out of it. The top hats were made out of beaver.
No, but if you only have to pay half a beaver pelt, what do you get?
So you get 2 blankets for 7 pelts.
But what if you only have 4? You get change or store credit.
Then you get a beaver top hat, like a Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. 3.5 beaver pelts for that blanket back in the day. Jacob, welcome. I thought this was your first time here, but I wasn't sure. So welcome, and I saw you have quail, which is awesome. Awesome. We do this every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and it's a lot of fun. You're still here, so hopefully you're having a lot of fun. Maybe a scarf for the other half of beaver, but what if you only have that much, Or badly skinned one. Oh, no. Excuse me. You pay 4 pelts, you get a pillow too. I don't think they had those deals back in the day. Buy a mattress, get a pillow.
You get a pillow. That's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
Those trappers, they led a tough life,
Yeah, well, that's probably why there's like a lack of beaver now.
I think Verna's got the right idea because you
Me
go
too.
into the Hudson Bay Company and you get your blanket and then you get your flour and your coffee and all the different things. Yeah.
So Steve is saying maybe a beaver that lost its tail counts as half a beaver. Beaver tail is supposed to be very tasty.
Ew. But I think it's the pelt that
The pelt, it's not the
it
tail.
goes into the buying. I don't think the tail is involved. I think that's
Yeah, the tail gets eaten.
I didn't know you could eat a tail.
It's a delicacy part of the beaver. Yeah, because it's fatty.
Like a nice
And
big piece of bacon or something.
I mean, I don't know about that. I have had crock potted beaver, but I haven't had the tail. I knew someone in college that trapped and he ate whatever he trapped. And I was willing to try the beaver. I was not willing to try raccoon.
Yeah, raccoon seems a little. They eat trash. I mean,
Well, raccoons just disease wise you want to stay away from.
oh, rabies. Yeah.
They have so many. Yeah. So that pelt got a hole torn in it. Yep.
Oxtail?
Oxtail. Yep. Beaver meat is
Yum.
very good. Have you have you had it trapped there? Joy is also in Oregon.
Oh,
Yeah, nearly entirely fat. They have to have a nice, heavy, flat thing to slam on the water. I mean, that's why the beaver tails are they're thick this way because they pound the water to signal danger and for everybody to go back
that's
to
all I
the.
know about the tails. I had no idea that. I actually assumed they were more like a plate, like a
Really
fingernail kind of
breakable
a
plate.
material, rather than No, I mean I thought it was like a hard thing. Traditional food eaten as a snack.
Verna's
Can eat by
Googling now.
roasting, grilling, or smoking. Tail is high in fat, which can be eaten like bone marrow. Mmm.
Beaver tail because his tongue is too small. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's an animal that was trapped out of a lot of areas. Um, and I heard from a neighbor here that they used to be in this valley.
Oh, really?
And a relative of theirs, Apodontia rufa or mountain beaver, has some potential to be in this area as well. Now that's one that lives in underground burrows near water sources, but usually up like in the mountain type of thing. So who knows what's on this hill back behind me?
So I just pulled up the Oregon state flag. Ours is the only flag I think that has a different picture on each side.
Yeah, on
And
both
we're
sides.
known as the Beaver State. And
Yep.
on the back side of our flag is a beaver.
Yep.
That's your history lesson for today.
Joyce says my mom's cousin lived on the I call that Nebraska.
Nestucca, I think.
Nesteca River. One of her kids shot one and she broiled it in the oven. All right. You did not eat the tail. Man, see what you're missing out on, Joy. Yeah. A beaver can get huge. There's one that I saw. So I did my undergraduate degree in Dubuque, Iowa. And there was this, actually, where I was in Illinois. So on the other side of the Mississippi River, there was this park, and then there was this, like, we were doing some research there, and then there was this like drain grate that you could see down in, and we thought it was a dog that somehow got down there, and it was sitting on its tail, and so when it flipped it up, like, whoa, and this thing must have been like this big. It was huge. Yeah. Yeah.
But they're pretty interesting creatures. I mean,
They're very interesting.
Mountain men love the tail.
Yeah, so here's some more Googling. Beavers can grow 3 to 4 feet long and weigh 40 to 100 pounds. They're the largest rodents in North America, which is somewhat true.
I didn't think about that. They're a rodent? I guess
they're a rodent. They're in the family Rodentia. Their teeth keep growing, so they have to trim them down, which is a good thing because that's what they use to chew the trees. And so nutria, I don't know how big they get, but nutria are now in water systems. They were released not on purpose. In California, they actually use a program that's called a Judas nutria. And we don't.
So Katrina, is a nutria more like an otter or more like a beaver?
More like a beaver, but with a different tail. And yeah. So they have a program in California where they use a Judas nutria, and I don't usually talk religion on this channel, but Judas was the betrayer of Jesus, right? So what they do is they collar with a GPS collar a nutria because they live in groups, and then they let it go, and then they find where everybody else is, and then they deal with the issue. Yeah. So yeah, I think they might be bigger. I know they cause a lot of issues. Yeah. And Joy says, no, they're loggers and dairymen. Yeah, you didn't know they're that big? Yeah, they're huge, and they're in your area. Just like to spark that fear in you.
But they're very shy animals, aren't they?
They're what?
Shy, aren't they?
I don't know. I mean, you could be shy and have
terrifying.
Drop a tree on you. Yeah. Yeah, so there are relocation programs for beavers, and beavers are ecosystem engineers. I'm a biologist. I think everybody on here knows that except for maybe Jacob. I'm a wildlife biologist, studied badgers, but they are what are called ecosystem engineers, which means they change the ecosystem in a way that affects many different animals, and usually that means to the benefit of many different animals. Doesn't always mean to the benefit of people. But what they do is they back up these huge areas of water, create wetlands, create wildlife spaces, create all this, habitat that other animals use, which in turn does something wonderful in the landscape. It slows the water so it can soak into the ground, which means the groundwater is recharged more in those areas, and it's also able to hold water later into the season and has less dry time, which can combat things like drought and fire in that region. Like, they're super, super, super good on the landscape. Sometimes they like to build things where people don't want them to, and that's where they become problem animals. So yeah, there you go. Little history. Little bit of thing there. Sue says our friend has nutria rats at their pond.
How so they're more like a rat?
Well, they're rodents, so people call them that. I think of them. You guys know the movie. I don't know that they're quite this big. Steve, will you look it up for me? How big they are? Thank you. I think of them as whenever I think of them, I think of the movie The Princess Bride. And the rodents of unusual size.
That would be a nutria?
No, they're people in suits. Sorry to spoil that for anybody that hasn't seen it. Yeah. Jacob says, I had my first interaction with a beaver last year in Canada, and it was not happy I was walking down the trail. It was slapping its tail on the water and sounds like someone's shooting a 22. I have heard
Wow.
that sound, and it definitely alerts everybody in the area that there is danger. So good luck bird watching at that point. Right? Yeah. Yep, sometimes because they're chewing down the trees you planted or they're flooding an area or whatever. Yeah. Or big water rats. I'm going to look up how big they are. Let's see. Size of nutria. 2
Nutria
feet
doesn't even,
long and weigh up to 20 pounds. That's what AI says. Let's see what somebody else says because
it doesn't
AI.
even sound like the name of an animal. It sounds like some kind of food or something.
Nutrina is a brand of that kind of
Rat
food.
food?
Okay, according to California Department of Fish and Wildlife, 2 feet, weigh 15 to 20 pounds, have tails 1 to 1.5 feet long, and nutria tracts can reach up to 6 inches long. What's a nutria tract? Oh, track. Sorry, tracks. Blah blah blah. Adult nutria is about 1/3 the size of an adult beaver and over 5 times the size of a muskrat. So yeah, I guess they're not that big. I picture them as rodents of unusual size. Okay, Steve's research came in. 12 to 16 pounds. Okay, Jacob says, so I can't remember the name of the disease humans can get from beavers, but can that be transmitted to other animals that drink from beaver pond? I don't know what disease you might be thinking of, but there are a lot of diseases from rodents that can be really not good. Most of them that I know about come either from fleas. That's where the Black Plague came from, is through rats, going to the rodents, or by breathing their waste, which hantavirus and parvovirus you can get from. So I don't know which one you're thinking about. Beaver fever. I don't know what that does, but
What a catchy name.
I wouldn't go smelling beavers.
No, but he's
They're
asking
super
about
soft,
if the other animals drink from the pond, if they
I
would
don't know
get.
how it spreads, so yeah, this is something I don't know about. But yeah, sorry. Nutria females are only capable of producing 6 litters in a lifetime. Well, but how long is their life?
This is just taking you down a rabbit trail. One question leads to the next.
Or a nutria trail, which is okay. This is a good conversation. We're having fun. Oh, Brenna says it's 11 p.m. here, so I have to run. Lucy is demanding to go out. Well, hello to Lucy. Give her a big hug. Lucy is a doggy. And thank you for coming.
Yep. And if it's 11 o'clock there, giardiasis. So isn't
Is that
that the
Giardia?
one that you get from drinking snow from?
Well, Giardia, is that the same thing as Giardia?
That's what I'm thinking, maybe.
Like a similar thing? Could be. Well, don't drink water from where
Beaver
anybody's
ponds.
peeing. Let's just keep it as that.
Okay, your homework for tonight
It's not to drink water from.
is to find out about giardiosis.
I think it's Giardia.
Oh, look at that. Contaminated water.
Yeah. So yeah, the answer is yes.
But for people, but is it the same for like a deer or
I
an
don't see
elk
why
or
it
a
wouldn't be, unless
muskrat?
there's some sort of like gut flora that prevents other animals from getting it, which could be. But yeah. Okay, that is the right one. Giardius is what it's called. It's something in the water. That's why trappers wear gloves when dealing with beaver. Okay.
That makes sense.
I mean, it's a good idea to clean your water. Filter it, boil it, and do all the things. Do all the things.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree with Joy. Thank you, Steve, for being our Googler of the night.
All right. Well, I'm ready to say goodnight. So I hope any tips that I gave you were helpful.
Does anybody have any questions for my mom before she goes? Oh, it is a parasite. Okay.
I think Giardia is also a parasite.
I think, but I'm wondering if it's the same.
It looks almost the same, but I think Giardia is spelled Giar or something instead of Gua. Yeah. They must be two different things.
All right. Steve says, thank you for sharing your knowledge. Wonderful night from
Thank
Jacob.
you.
Back to beaver fever is caused by a microscopic parasite called
It is Giardia. Lamblia.
Lamblia.
It's kind of fun to say.
There could be different Giardias too, right? I mean, there could be different.
But I think people sometimes get Giardia in the mountains around here. Nice to meet you as well, Joy. When they eat the melted snow. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, have fun on that snow day.
Yeah, don't eat the snow. I think it's probably the melted snow is not necessarily because it's snow, but because it has that contaminated. It melts and it goes through a whole bunch of things come down, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I know it as too. Because that's what people would die of, right? Is the diarrhea, not necessarily the.
When that causes dehydration.
Mm-hmm. Not just dehydration, but also you're expelling all of your good bacteria and your good your electrolytes and all that too. Yeah.
All right. Good night.
Yep. All right. Good night.
Okay.
I don't know how. Are you guys ready to say good night? We're having a good conversation, but I'm ready to say good night. I can get. Oh, sorry. I should take you off your. Good night. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. She wasn't planning on staying on the whole time, but we kept on talking and talking, so that was good. And this is how these lives go. We have a flow. Usually my topic comes a little bit later from the beginning, but I figure when we have guests, it's good to have that topic at the beginning. Yeah, let me know if I should bump up my topics sooner or not. But yeah, it's good things. Your mom is wonderful, Joy says. Good. I think she's wonderful too. Yeah. Well, I hope you guys had a good time. Hope you guys got a little different perspective on things. And I wanted to have like somebody else talking about kind of how budget, not really budgeting, but budgeting your time, budgeting your route you're going to take or whatever, all of that. So yeah. Well, thank you, Jacob. Awesome. It's good to have you. Exactly. We have a main topic, and then sometimes the main topic, I have a pre-planned thing, and we're on such a good discussion, I just bring it up. Say, does anybody want to talk about this? And no, okay, let's keep talking about whatever we're talking about. Yeah. So, and I'm interested in all sorts of things. We do all sorts of homesteading stuff, and everything ties in. I mean, I'm a wildlife biologist by trade, so I know a lot of wildlife stuff. I love to forage, all of that. So there you go. Yep. Allow you to stay on topic. That's okay. It's okay. So, all right, guys. Well, let's call it a night. And Steve's right. Gonna fit right in. Let's call it a night, and tomorrow's video is going to be about tracking the snow. We have a special surprise with that. Well, I don't know. It doesn't look very special on camera, but it was a special thing when I was out there. And then hopefully by Thursday, I will have the year-end review done for you guys. So that is my plan. You guys get snow tracks tomorrow, and then year in review on Thursday. Guys, so much time has gone into this, and it's not going to be what I wanted it to be, but in order to do what I wanted to do, it would have taken like so much longer to put together. So that's going to be Thursday. All right. Sometimes we get in a really fun bunny trail. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Good night, everyone. Good night. And I'm going to try and bring up people's things more. I think that's a good thing to do. I haven't been doing that. All right. Have a good night. We will see you guys next Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Think about joining the Cook With Me group. We call it Katrina's Kits. You join the channel. There should be a button down below. There's a link in every description. And there's also this link here. Where's the disconnect button? Are you ready to go? All right. Good night. And we will talk to you next time.